Welcome to One Life, the podcast where we embrace the journey of living fully and intentionally in every area of life. My name is Matt Farnham, and while I don't have it all figured out, I'm walking this journey with you, convinced we don't have to choose between a thriving career and thriving relationships, health, and purpose. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And together we'll explore how to create work-life harmony, reject the lies of comparison, steward our gifts, and embrace the life God desires for all of us. Welcome to One Life. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the One Life podcast. So excited to kick off this next episode with my very good friend, Mikki Ramey from Charleston, South Carolina. Mikki, thanks for being with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So Mikki is a dear friend of mine. Her and her husband, John, have been two of my best friends in our coaching ecosystem that we've been in together for years now. And super excited. When I knew I was launching this podcast, Mikki is one of the very first people I thought of that I knew I wanted to have as a guest early on, just because, Mikki, you just exemplify everything that this message is all about. So I can't wait to get into this conversation with you. But before we do that, I want to honor you and just give you more of a formal introduction. So let me introduce you guys to my good friend, Mikki. Mikki Ramey has been married to her college sweetheart, John, who's a practicing physician for 29 years. She has 4 children. Some are adults, ages 23, 19, 17, and 12. She's a new grandma as well. And she's been in real estate for over 20 years and has been the broker owner of Healthy Realty since 2008. She currently has a real estate team of 12 agents, 1 ISA, and 3 TCs. And in 2024, they served 223 families and a whole bunch of volume to go with that. So they're crushing it in real estate and passionate about serving their community and even more clients in the years to come. But Mikki, that is not necessarily why you're on this show, all the accolades. It's because of who you are in the whole process of all that amazing business that you've built. So I'm honored to have you here. So welcome, Mikki. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you. It's so fun to hang out with Matt, y'all. It's a special treat to be invited to do this. And I'm very passionate about trying to blend family and work as a working mom for the last, 2 decades. It's crazy.
Well, we are definitely going to get into that. So, but just to kind of break the ice, a question I love to ask, I guess, when they come on is, Mikki, what's bringing you joy right now in your life and your family? What's one thing just really bringing you joy?
Really, the things that bring me joy are just the little things that we spend time together, just time in the car. We travel a lot now. I'm driving, so having conversations in the car, spending time on the couch together, eating. The weather here is beautiful in Charleston. We love to sit outside and just have dinner as a family and talk. And my oldest son is a grill master. He is so good at making steak and fish and all the stuff. So he grills and I hang out and we chat, and it's just fun having those little moments together.
Little moments are the best. And so I was thinking, normally you might have said something about Clemson football bringing you joy, but before we started this episode, that's not going so well this year.
I was actually thinking about Clemson football. Our season is not going well, but this might be something we can talk about on this podcast. But how many of us are held up to willing to go out and get our bodies bashed in and have somebody say, "Oh, you didn't do a great job this week," that kind of thing. That's hard. I'm not willing to stand up against a 315-pound man and get pummeled. So I love my Clemson Tigers. Win or lose, I'm a fan. Go get them, Tigers.
Well, I feel like entrepreneurship sometimes is that. I feel like I'm getting bashed all the time too. So.
Yes, that is. There are a lot of similarities between sports and entrepreneurship for sure.
So one more icebreaker question. I still have not made it to Charleston, South Carolina, but I know you guys are known for your food scene. So if I'm going out there for one day and I got one lunch and one dinner, where are we going?
Okay, so there are a couple of answers to this question. If you're low key, laid back, and like the water, the only restaurant on the water in downtown is Fleet Landing, and that's laid back, not the fanciest food, but a beautiful atmosphere. So if you're wearing shorts and t-shirts and that kind of vibe, that's the place to go. If you were not and you were looking for an upscale restaurant, I mean, I love the Peninsula Grill, is beautiful. I love Hall's Chop House. They have the best customer service in all of Charleston. Every Tuesday is like a big event and an occasion. They always celebrate you when you walk in the door, whether you're celebrating an anniversary or just going for Tuesday dinner. So those are my favorites.
Well, I'm both those vibes. So I think the first place for lunch and the second place for dinner sounds perfect.
Yes.
So Leslie and I will get out there before too long and hang out with you and John. So Mickey, I want to start because I think that the number one thing that we have in common that really kind of I think first brought you and I together in relationship or friendship was the commonality of our foundation and our faith. That's a huge part of my life. I know that's a huge part of your and John's life and your family. So I really want to start with that. And you said a comment recently. I heard you speak months back, and I'd written this down in my journal. You said, if you are intentional, you can create your future. If you're not, someone will create it for you. So I was hoping that you would elaborate on that thought, number one. And then I'm interested how faith has shaped some of that intentionality in your life.
So, well, and my husband, I will give it up to him. He is a wonderful leader for our family. I'm more the fun parent and he's the tough parent. So he gets, flack for that. But he is a wonderful spiritual leader in our family. And he always encouraged us to serve as a family. We've been on family mission trips together. He's a physician, so he has really amazing skills. And the rest of us are just like, what do you need? But we learned early in our marriage, we kind of did ministry apart. Like John would have his group and I would have my group, and that's kind of how we did it. And we just learned over the years, you know what, we need to involve our family together to go on mission and to serve. So now, like, we have people over to our house. We have young adult ministry at our house Monday evening. So they're coming over tonight. And John and I'll be there. Our kids that are adults will sometimes attend. Our daughters will help babysit if the group needs babysitters. Like, we just, we've gotten to more where we like to do ministry as a family. We've been on several mission trips to Nicaragua, especially. They are not hardcore mission trips. I will say my family likes to surf being in Charleston. So we've had some really fun mission experiences where you can go surfing in Nicaragua at like 5 a.m. and then go do medical missions starting later that day and go do a clinic. So we've had some kind of fun surf and serve mission trips as a family. So that's really, we learned we did it wrong for a while. I think that's everybody's story, like, fail and figure it out over time. So we're intentional about doing service together as a family. We always attend church together as a family. Our kids, like, they're non-negotiable. You have to go to youth group. That's non-negotiable in our house. So, we have those intentions daily. I start every day. I like podcasts, so I listened to real estate podcasts forever, and I eventually got a little burnout on those. So I started listening to sermons. So every morning I wake up at 6 a.m., I get my alone Mickey time, and I listen to a sermon, and it gets me grounded for the day for sure.
I love that those listening, I want you to make note that she said John and I were doing things apart. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's benefits to doing things kind of individually or with your girlfriends or your guy friends or whatever. But there's something powerful when there's unity between you and your spouse, specifically in mission. And Mickey, I'm curious. I wasn't planning on asking you this, but we have similar stories in the sense that Leslie and I were doing a lot of things, and we were calling it a family thing or we were calling it a business thing. When in reality, it wasn't. It was really me and my wife doing things and then trying to act like it was the business or the family. And then we went through the season and God just challenged me and said, man, you got to give your kids a bigger story. Like so many of us allow our kids to live in their little bubble, with their school group or their hobbies. And that's okay. But what would it look like to give our kids a bigger story, a bigger vision and purpose? How have you seen that play out as your kids are now, you now have adult children, some of them, right? So how have you
Yes.
seen that investment that you and John have made kind of flesh out as they've gotten older?
Yeah, I think, I love that may be a different podcast. I love parenting adult children. It's really fun for me. I think for some people that's a struggle, but I really am enjoying that season. And I can see now that my oldest JT, he's engaged. And, while sometimes it's hard to be like a part of a small group with your mom and dad. So we were talking the other day and he's like, yeah, definitely. Like when we get married, we're plugging into church. We're, doing our own small group together where we can grow as a young married couple. So I think that's really cool. I see that played out. My next oldest son, Will, he called me this morning and he didn't do so well on a test. And so he was worried about that. And so we talked and, told him I'm, praying with him through it. And he's really involved. Like he went on a mission trip this summer where the focus was just getting a job and learning how to share your faith at a job. So he worked at a surf shop and like the focus was always share your faith at work, share your faith at work. And he was surrounded by a group. He didn't know anybody. We were like, oh, cool. You're going on a mission trip. Who else from Clemson is going? He's like, nobody. I'm like, wait, what? You're going? He's like, yeah, I'll just meet people. I feel like God's wanting me to do this. So it'll be cool. I'm like, that sounds fun. So we'll see. So the boys are, doing those things. And I'll share more about my 17-year-old daughter. Just had an unplanned pregnancy. So that's something that, we're working through. And then my youngest goes to a bilingual Christian school. So she's got a really cool story about how we're trying to, shepherd her and learning a different language and learning Spanish. I don't speak Spanish. But she's learning that to try to be able to, share her faith to different cultures. So we're working at it. Nothing is perfect, right? You do your best, and God's got a story in our imperfection. So,
Well, they say, the Bible says that our children are like arrows in the quiver, right? And you and John are doing a very, very admirable job of launching them out. So I honor you for that. That's super cool.
thank you.
You said something again in that same talk I heard you say. I thought it was really cute, and I wanted you to unpack a little bit more for us. But you said, and it so aligns with One Life, right? Because we have all these spinning plates. So many people feel this way to manage their life. But for me, it's about blurring the lines and just living all these things out in one beautiful direction. But you said home is for hospitality. So when you said that, just unpack that a little bit for us. What's that mean for you?
So for us, like we have a big house, and we are always, always expecting guests, we have people that aren't our immediate family members live with us over the years. Like my kids have known from the beginning, like when they were little, we had nannies, live with us sometimes. We've also had my husband as a doctor. So we have medical students that come and rotate at our medical school here, and they would stay with us. Like we've had 3 foreign exchange students who have lived with us over the years. And I just, I want to always be willing to say yes to people who need to live here or people that just want to come and hang out with us. Like we have a pretty informal home. It's hard in real estate. Like I sell all these fancy, glamorous houses, and I'm almost like, oh my gosh, I don't want people to know that I am not that fancy and glamorous. I am just like, I have a really fun house. Like we have jet skis, we have a boat. We
Alligators
have
in the
like
backyard.
yeah, we do have some alligators. Oh, I don't love those. But you live on brackish water. That's what you get. But anyway, we always want the focus to be on being welcome and not always being put together is,
Yeah.
how I live.
Well, I love the variety, right? I was talking to you the other night. You're like, "Hey, I'm going to pull home and probably have 8 cars on my driveway just because that's kind of what it's always like." But you also have an interesting dynamic where it serves as sort of a hub for your real estate business as well. So you have 12 agents, the ISA, the transaction coordinators. So what's that dynamic look like where, you're trying to be home when you're trying to be home, but it's also, what's that look like?
Yep. So I'm in my office right now. I'll point this way. There's a separate entrance to my house. Like I have 1,000 square feet of my house that is our office. So a separate entrance that I can lock out. So whenever I don't want agents coming into our house, I just lock the door. Like it's almost like a duplex, you could say it like that. But the agents are welcome to come and go as, whenever they need to print. Somebody might walk in while we're doing this podcast. I don't know. We'll see. But for the most part, like agents are welcome, and they don't come in the office. I think everybody tends to work from home more nowadays. But my inside sales associate, she's in the office with me 2 to 3 days a week, so that we're here collaborating together. But that's it. Like my office and my house are connected, and I just lock things out when I want to keep it separate.
Well, it's nice. At least your commute home is what, 10 steps?
I know it is. That is really nice. That is really nice. And it helps me to have the lockout because, and I encourage anybody listening that works from home, have a home office. And so your family knows when you go into that space, mom is working or dad is working. And then when you're back in your main house, hey, I'm having family time. I'm here. I think that separation is needed. I know we're talking about blurring the lines, but there does need to be some separation from, okay, mom's in work mode, don't come in right now versus, let's have family time.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Be all in when you're doing it, right? Be relentless
Yes.
with work, and then be relentless to be home when you're going to be present.
Yes.
What's your, when it comes to the running the team with the business and just everything else you're juggling? I think the way that I've heard you talk about this speaks to the idea of alignment when it comes to one life. But your hiring philosophy, you made a comment about people that you want to do life with. What does that mean to you, and when you're hiring for your team?
So, I mean, I've really learned I run a female real estate team. So, there are certain connotations to running an all female real estate team, that we're catty, that we're dramatic, all of these things. So, I really do hire for people that are low drama. I need that in my life. I tell everybody, I had a brother. We didn't have any drama. He just kind of, hit me, and we ended it like fast. So, girl drama is, I don't like that. So I really try to hire for people that want to have servant hearts, that want to focus on the best for their clients and not the best for their commission. And I want to focus on people that are going to be, just team players, low drama. And that's what I look for. I don't always get it right. People in, our position, Matt, that are team leaders, you don't always get it right. So you hope to, but
Right. No, I love that. But the simple filter of, do I want to do life with this person? Do I want them in my home? Because that's literally where they're going to work out of. So,
yeah.
uh, no, I think it's a good reminder for all of us is don't compromise on the people that you choose to lock arms with at all. So, funny story that I'd love for you to share for everybody, for the young realtor starting their career, maybe a young mother at the same time. Obviously, you got to just figure it out sometimes, and you have a interesting story from your first hire. So tell tell us about your first hire and how you had to figure this out and what that process looked like.
Yeah, so I laugh with everybody. My first hire was called the Nanny Realtor because I started Healthy Realty, my company, in 2008. In 2008, I had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a newborn. So that was a lot to start a company and manage 3 kids under the age of 5. Like, it's so much easier now. I tell, just if you have young kids, just hold on, you'll work your way through it. But my husband's a physician. So everybody's like, oh, your husband's a doctor, da da da, you can afford this or that. Well, I wanted my business to be pretty self-sufficient from the start, and I wanted to be wise financially with it. So I was like, well, I don't have enough business for a full-time real estate assistant, and I don't have enough business, where I want to be with my kids some. So, I need somebody who's a nanny. So I decided I was going to hire a nanny and pay for her to get a real estate license. So I did. I had a couple of women I hired, I paid for their real estate license. When my kids were sick, I could stay home and say, okay, you realtor nanny, go show a house. And it worked out really well. And my clients didn't seem to take issue with it. It's kind of, having a showing assistant. So she was my showing assistant and also helped watch my kids. And then when I got to the point where I found a person who was better at real estate than being a nanny, I kind of figured out, okay, I can kind of separate these two roles. And then my kids also got older and got into school, and that made things easier too.
Love that. I mean, why not,
So,
right? We have to figure it out
I'm a
as
nanny.
entrepreneurs, right? There's no playbook for a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a newborn when you're starting your real estate career.
No, there is not. And, I mean, God has blessed this business. It's, not my doing. I'm a teacher by training. I have a degree in education. So I did not see myself as a realtor. I just had some bad experiences with real estate agents and got into it accidentally.
That's interesting how many people have that story. They had a bad purchase or sell experience. Like, you know what? I'm going to do this better. You have a
Yes.
counseling
Yes.
background too, as well, don't you? You have a counseling degree, or what's your background?
Do I have a master's in counseling also, and that is the best education anybody can get. Like, I don't even need a real estate license. The master's in counseling is like better than the
And
real
that's for
estate
real estate
license.
sales. That's for parenting. That's for having a husband. That's for everything, right?
It is. It is. I'm talking a lot on this podcast, but I do like to listen. I like to be a listener and take in information and just hear what people have to say, and kind of, help them make decisions. And real estate is really, what I'm passionate about.
That's good. So you went through a season in 2020. Your God's been good. He's been so kind, blessed you and your family and your business. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows, right? There's difficult seasons and patches. So in 2020, you quote unquote kind of it blew up. It was the phrase you had used. So what did that season look like? And then what did you learn just through that rebuild? Because now you guys are crushing it like crazy now. But what was that? And that's in 5 short years since this 2020, situation.
Yeah.
What that rebuild look like, and what do you feel like God has taught you about perseverance and leadership?
Yeah, and I think the story of 2020 is different for everybody. For a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, the market shifted, and that was hard." Well, for me, finding yourself. Everybody decided they were going to find themselves and want to move and live in the house they wanted and live this. Well, my whole team decided that too, you guys, and they were like, "Maybe I want to move to a different city. Maybe I want this life adventure." So I had a team of 5 at that point, and 2 of them moved out of state. And then one decided, well, I had an incident where one was just not a good fit. So she moved on to a different company. And so then it was just, I was left with just me and one other person. And that person, then I just was kind of hiring in a hurry. I was like, I've got too much business. I need people to help me with this. So I went through a season where I hired from 2020. I hired a couple people that were here and gone in like a month and 3 months. I'm like, what is going on? Why are these people like interviewing that they want to be with me and want to go long term and it's going to be great? And then in 2 months they're out, and then 1 month they're out. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I told my husband John, I was like, I'm done. I want to quit. Like, this is too hard. Like, people keep coming and going, and I can't do this. And then, fortunately, I got who my inside sales associate and my current admin are Heather. She's wonderful, and she's been with me since then, and she really supports me a lot through things. And then I found a couple other team members that stayed, and then with those team members, everything became a little more stable, and I could hire more people. And then the team just eventually grew because for me, I was just leaving a lot of business on the table. So I knew I needed to hire a team. So that from a strategy standpoint. But then from a personal standpoint, I do like doing life with people. I love doing life with a team. So I just chose that I'm like, I want to hire people that I want to be around. And so I kept doing that, and got some wonderful people. And now we have 12 agents that are really great. And I really enjoy working with them on a day-to-day basis. And I'm not sure if I answered your question completely, but my whole team left, and I wanted to give up. But I think the thing that kept motivating me was I want to do life with people. I want to have a team. I want to have somebody to help me, and I want to help somebody. Like, that's just what I wanted.
That's probably why you have such a because you're the culture, from what I can tell, looking from afar. Of course, Instagram, Facebook, all the things, but the culture looks amazing. It does look like you genuinely enjoy doing life with your team, and the results are showing up in the production. I mean, it's insane what you guys are accomplishing. So, just
Yes.
it's leadership, it's perseverance, it's all the things. But great example for all of us in this business. So let's shift to motherhood. So this is something that I know a lot of people are going to be interested to hear because, and it's something I can't even relate with, Mickey. Of course, I'm not a mom. I'm a dad, but I think that in our business, you started when your kids were young, and now they're older. After 20 years in this business, but there's another element to growing an amazing business like you have while being mom. And I think there's another level of burden that a man might not ever be able to understand. Let's just be honest. So I'm curious, what are the challenges that have come with that 20-year growth cycle you've been in while raising the four kids that you have? What are maybe some of the challenges, and not just your kids, a house full on top of it, home is for hospitality, right? You have so many other in your home other than just those four. So what are some of the challenges raising the kids while building the business?
Well, I think, I have a standpoint that it does take a village. Like, I am always willing to ask for help and to need help. And as of recently, I'm very thankful that my brother and sister-in-law are moving to Charleston. My mom lives here, my mom and dad. My dad passed away, but they were always huge helps to me. So I have a lot of family in town that helps me, which is wonderful. But just, as a mom, like, it's funny. Everybody is like, I'm at every game. I'm at all this. I'm like, okay, I have four kids. Like, I'm not at every game. I got to divide and conquer. So I don't think I ever felt guilt over missing a game as much, because sometimes I had to be with their sibling and not with them. Like, all my friends and I that have multiple kids, we're always, missing something. But I think when I'm present, like, I want to, give my kids an atta girl, atta boy. Like, when we're at a tennis match with them, like, or, but my daughter did volleyball. Like, I would try to go and do work between matches, between games. But then when they're on the court, like, I am all in and a little bit too, involved. Like, let's go, like that crazy cheering mom. But we miss things over time, and I just try to tell my kids, like, I miss things. I'm not going to be there sometimes because of your siblings. Sometimes it is work, but I love you, and I'm going to be there for every really important event that I possibly can. And my presence or absence doesn't change my love for you in any way, shape, or form. Like, I know they all know that.
And I think it's probably I don't think you're just flippantly saying this right now. I imagine you clearly communicating that to your children as they're growing up. And I think that that's a sad, I think, misconception in our industry for an entrepreneur. Nobody can do it all. And I think so many entrepreneurs put so much pressure on themselves that they think they have to show up. And I know that some people may disagree with this comment, and that's fine. And I respect you if you're at every game your kids ever had. But I think an argument could be made that's not even necessarily always healthy for the kid either. That their identity doesn't need to be wrapped up in my approval constantly over on the sidelines. Not saying we shouldn't make every effort to be there and be present for what the moments that matter, but the life lessons in, hey, what's it look like for mom to steward a business and grow and choose? They're all good things, but that's the harmony in all this thing, right? Anything to add to that?
Right. I will just say, when I was a kid, I sometimes didn't like it when my parents watched me play. It made me nervous. I played tennis when I was younger, and sometimes it did make me nervous. Like, I would play a little bit more free, when a lot of people weren't watching. So I try to, talk to him about that too. And my oldest son is like that. He's like, yeah, sometimes I like to play when you're not there. I'm like, I get it. But we're always there. And I think the important thing too is to celebrate moments. Like, my oldest is engaged, and I just like, and we couldn't have picked a better woman for him. So, like, I just want to have moments of celebration for that, like, showers and I'm the mother of the groom. It's a little easier gig than being the mother of the bride, but I think take a moment to celebrate. My older daughter turns 18 next week, so we're going to go out and have a celebration for her. She wants me to take her to one of the said restaurants that I mentioned before, and not the laid back one.
And so this daughter you just brought up, she's the one who also just made you a new grandma, right?
She did. So Kate, my
Congratulations.
17-year-old, yes, my 17-year-old daughter, she will be 18 next week. And, we have had everybody is like, oh, your life sounds perfect. Well, perfection is a myth and real life happens. And all of us, none of us made great decisions when we were 17. Let's just all admit it right now. I
Mhm.
did not. And so, my 17-year-old daughter is a mom, and watching her as a mom is just the most beautiful thing that I have seen in her life so far. She was at a point where she really wasn't connecting with our family. Like she was, kind of your textbook rebellious 15, 16-year old. And motherhood has just been a blessing that I wouldn't have chosen for her, y'all. Like I would not choose it. My friends that have approached me that are like, oh, I had a baby when I was 17. I had a baby when I was 20. I've had so many of my friends that are like, yeah, I was a young mom too. And, they're like, it's not something that maybe my parents would have chosen for me, but it's been a beautiful story. Like it is a beautiful story, and I can't even imagine my life without my sweet baby granddaughter. Brinley is her name, Brinley Grace, and she is cute. If you even remotely follow me on Instagram, like she'll be on there every day.
That's awesome. Well, and we had talked offline, Mickey, and you shared something with me that I thought was super powerful, and I would love our audience to hear it. But you did share vulnerably that there was a moment or a small season where you actually felt a little bit of shame when she had, I don't know, maybe when she had gotten pregnant or you knew this was happening. But you said something beautiful. I want to steal it from you on what God has flipped that into. Share that with everybody. What how did you initially feel, and what are you realizing that God has given you now?
Yeah, so I mean, all the moms know. Y'all know if you're a mom and you're listening to me right now, like people will say, oh, well, I can't believe her daughter did that. I can't believe, her daughter sent that mean text to my daughter. I can't believe her daughter, like, didn't invite my daughter to the birthday party. Like, there is, some of that mom shame that comes with the little and the bigger things with all of us. So, that always creeps in. But shame has no place in my life. Like, I just have to say it. It does not have a place in my life. It doesn't have a place in my daughter's life. Like, we have been blessed beyond measure. And, we live in grace. We walk in grace and forgiveness, and we're going to choose that every day. It's a choice. You can choose to live in, oh, woe is me, or you can say, like, we're blessed. And I'm so thankful to have a baby. Like, I have 4 kids. Come on. Like, I don't like having a baby in the house. So, and it's a beautiful story. Like, just to share with y'all, I think she was really worried when she told me that she was pregnant, and she worried that, her dad and I would be disappointed to the level of maybe we wanted to end our relationship with her. And like, that just shocked me when she said that. I was like, there is nothing that you can do, like literally nothing you can do to make me stop loving you and stop like wanting to be your advocate. Like, I mean, nothing. And now, there's another little person that we get to advocate for. And it's not easy, you guys. It's, exhausting. Those of you who've had babies know it's very tiring. They live at home with us right now while she is a student, and being a college kid and trying to figure out some normalcy of being a college kid versus being a young mom. So we're trying to navigate all that, but she's not going to do it alone, and she never will. And none of my kids, I think, I had always like, Matt is awesome, and he brought me into like Craig Rochelle. I love listening to his sermons and things, and he talks about pre-deciding. And I think I'd listened to a sermon about pre-deciding before I, found out about Caitlin being pregnant. And I honestly, I pre-decided. I'm like, if my kids ever have anything that they are ashamed about, or they come to me and they're worried that I'm not going to forgive them or help them, like that's not going to happen. I will always stand next to them no matter what. And the same for my husband. I will always stand next to him. I mean, there's always forgiveness for everything in our family. And it doesn't mean it's easy. And it doesn't mean that, oh, I got some picture storybook life. But I do need Matt and wonderful Christians in my life to keep us accountable to that and say, no, you said that you were going to choose to forgive. And so I think having a community like this is so powerful. Like we all need to remind each other to forgive and to stand next to each other in hard times, because God always makes it beautiful.
That's such a
So
beautiful story. He does always make it beautiful. So, just to sum
if
that
you
up,
let him, if you let him, right, you got to let him.
true, very true. And he will replace that shame with grace. And Mickey, it was so beautiful hearing you explain all that because you said, nothing you can do could keep me from loving you. Then you said, um, be an advocate. I'll always be an advocate. I literally am picturing Jesus speaking to us because that's exactly the words you were saying could have been replaced with how Jesus speaks to us. Nothing we could do there's no condemnation for those in Christ Jesus, right? There's nothing we could do to be taken from his hand. So I love that you are modeling that Christ in you, in your daughter, your family, and it's so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that with. I know you encourage many, many people that'll listen to this now and for years to come. So we're going to round third and start wrapping this up here. But I got a couple final questions for you. You said something in our conversation the other day that I was excited about, and you said, "If my 25-year-old self could see this life now, what would you say? What elaborate on that for me?"
She would be like, you live where? And you have what? I mean, y'all, at 22, I was a at 22, I was a Charleston County school teacher and I made $19,000 a year. I mean, that was a long time ago, and teachers make really good money in our area now. So, I'm thankful that they do. But I mean, financially, I would be blown away that I could afford a house and investment properties and work because I love what I do, not because I have to, make said paycheck every month. So that from a financial standpoint, but just from a family standpoint, that John and I would be married 29 years now, and that we would, love each other, and that we have so much fun together. We just like laugh together, and like the other night, this may be too much, but I'm going to share it. We have a hot tub and we're playing like country music trivia in our hot tub. We're like, okay, name that 90s country music. So we just do like goofy stuff together and love to, go to sporting events together and, just do fun little things together. And, that I would have 4 kids that love the Lord. That's big. That is what I prayed for all these years. So I love that. And
That's legacy.
I'm,
That's real
yeah,
legacy.
I'm thankful for that above all, that, I have a family that loves Jesus. That is the blessing above all.
And you model it so well for your family, your community, your team, your kids, and everything, Mickey. So I'm grateful to
Thank
call
you.
you.
And I'm going to jump in and say, now if y'all hear me reprimanding anybody in public, that still goes in the Ramey house. Like, not everything is like, mom is super loving. Like, she will be like, and you need to study for that test. Let's go, or you need to give better effort there, So, like, it's not all sweet. Like, there are some requirements. Like, oh my gosh, your room is a nightmare. Please go clean your room.
Hey,
Like, I
mama,
am
mama
still
bear's
that
got
mom.
claws too, right? They got to come out. So,
Yeah, she does. She does. She is loving, but she has requirements.
well, one question I was going to ask you is when you think about legacy, but I was going to elaborate on that, but you just spoke to it like that. Everything you went into detail on is legacy, and it's just a beautiful life. And just to sum up what Mickey just shared, I mean, she just spoke to mission, right? The mission with her husband, with the family to serve the world, investments, good stewardship, both in people and in finances, the marriage, the family, like all of this is what One Life is all about, Mickey. So it's exactly why I'm so excited to share you with our community. And I want to ask you one final question. We're going to wrap up. But Mikki, specifically, I mean, you could definitely speak to our entire audience. And the beautiful thing about podcasts is this is evergreen. So this could encourage somebody 5, 6, 10 years from now, which is just so fun to think about. But for a final encouragement, what advice would you give, and maybe specifically to women or parents who are trying to live intentionally in both family and business? They're trying to grow the business. They're in growth mode. They're trying to make ends meet, but they're also wanting to be an amazing mom or parent or spouse and all those things. So what advice would you give as encouragement to wrap us up today?
So encouragement, I think, I mean, there are things you have to have in that. Like you have to have as a mom and dad, you have to have alone time with the Lord to recharge like that. And I think it's very important to do it first thing in the morning. So that is something that needs to be a non-negotiable. For kids, like with my kids and being a mom, I think the non-negotiable there is they have to work hard in school and they have to be on mission with us with things that we decide to do at church. Like we get kickback from certain kids more than others. Like, no, I don't want to go to youth group. No, I don't want to do this. And no, I heard you say that and I appreciate that. Let's get in the car. Like they're non-negotiables for, like I said, me with my time with the Lord, with my kids, with their schoolwork, and with church attendance and be involved in a youth group. I just think that's so important to be surrounded by other young believers because they're going to learn things from them that they will not hear from me at all. They need to hear it from kids their age. And then from work, like our non-negotiable on our team is time in our CRM. Like you have to be in your CRM following up with people every day. If you don't spend time following up with people, like, they're not going to remember you and not going to use you. So, those are very important things. Like, and they all require time. So you have to be very conscientious about choosing time wisely. That I would say manage your day or your day will manage you.
Right. No, and as you spoke for these last, 30, 40 minutes we've had together, I keep hearing intentionality in everything that you're doing, a lot of intentionality. And there's no way that you raise 4 kids, now a grandbaby in the home, have the impact, exchange students, all the things, the business, the marriage, without a lot of intentionality. So thank you for such a good example that you've set for all of us that know you, Mikki. It's beautiful. So for all of our listeners that might want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that? Is it Instagram or is there something else you recommend?
Yeah, I mean, the best way to connect with me is Instagram. And my Instagram handle is Moving with Mikki. So MOVINGWITH and then Mikki MIKKI.
Awesome.
So that's it. And I would love for people to just follow me and see my life. Y'all, Matt told me once that my Instagram, he's like, I think your Instagram is just you entertaining yourself. I was like, oh my gosh, he found me out. It's so true. Like if I could give up real estate and just make Instagram reels, that would be really fun.
It does sum it up perfectly. And you can tell you genuinely love it. A lot of us, it's like pulling teeth to do it, but you love it. It's your outlet.
I do. I get ideas and I'm like, oh my gosh, this song is perfect for an Instagram reel.
That's awesome. Well, we'll put your Instagram handle for sure in the show notes. So remember, everybody listening, go to theonelifepodcast.com, theonelifepodcast.com for show notes, the information on Mikki and her business, way to connect with her. So definitely do that. You guys can reach out to Mikki and follow her. So Mikki, thank you again for being here and giving me so much of your time. And I appreciate you sharing your life with us.
Yeah, thank you. It was great being here. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, guys, we'll wrap it up. Grateful for you listening. Thank you for being part of our One Life community. Again, send this episode to somebody. Maybe it's a young mom. Maybe it's somebody who's just had that first grandbaby. Maybe it's somebody who's just in the thick of it right now because it feels like everything's blowing up and they need to rebuild. There's so much of Mikki's story that could encourage somebody. So please share it with somebody who needs to hear it. And engage with us. We want to hear from you. Subscribe, rate the podcast, give us reviews. Let's help get the word out and grow this One Life community so we can help and encourage more leaders. So thanks again, Mikki, and we will see you guys all soon.
Thanks.
I hope this episode encouraged you today. Thank you for subscribing, sharing, and rating the podcast. It truly means the world to me. And be sure to visit theonelifepodcast.com to join our community. That's where you'll find updates on virtual meetups, special events, and more. And remember, God created you on purpose for a purpose. You don't have to choose between a life of significance and a thriving business. You were made for both. This is One Life.